On our 5th wedding anniversary, Sophia ditched me to go find her first love, who had just returned to the country. I didn't cry, didn't make a scene. I even brought her home, dead drunk, and took care of her. Her first love, seeing this, got antsy and added me on WhatsApp. He spammed me with flirty pics of him and Sophia, trying to provoke me. I didn't care. As long as you can get her to file for divorce first, I'll sign immediately. 6 months later, her first love came to me, looking defeated. I don't understand. Why won't she divorce you? I laughed. Because Sophia wouldn't dare. Whether we divorced or not was my call, and she was still useful to me. I just hadn't dumped her yet. On our 5th wedding anniversary, Sophia and I had plans to go out for a celebratory dinner. Just as we were about to leave, I got a call from Susan, our caretaker, saying my dad had a bad stomach bug and was about to collapse. Sophia had already pulled the car over to the curb. I rushed into the passenger seat, about to say we needed to go to the hospital, when Sophia spoke first. "Mark, I just got a call. A really important client just flew in, and I have to pick them up from the airport." Her tone was urgent and apologetic, implying this client was too important to offend. She had to leave right away, and our dinner was off. Just then, a cab pulled up ahead. I was anxious to get to the hospital. "Okay, you go do your thing." I quickly got out, closed the door, and ran a few steps. The passenger in the cab got out, and as soon as it was empty, I jumped in, my palms sweating from anxiety. The doctor said my dad had chronic colitis. After all the tests and getting his medication, it was almost midnight by the time we got home. After I got my dad to sleep, I asked Susan to make me a bowl of noodles. I'd just taken a bite when I got a call from one of Sophia's friends, saying Sophia was drunk and needed me to pick her up. I found the bar downtown at the address they gave me and saw Sophia in a private room. She had her arm around some guy, talking to him intimately, calling him Frank. Frank was Sophia's ultimate first love, the one she'd crushed on since high school but never managed to land. Frank hadn't been into her back then. He'd married some rich heiress, but they divorced a few years ago. Word was he went abroad to work after the divorce. So, Frank was the important client Sophia mentioned. Finally, I got to meet this legendary first love. Thrilling. My brother Frank just got back in town today, so we threw him a little welcome get-together. Sophia had a bit too much to drink since it's a happy occasion. "You don't mind, do you?" The first person to break the silence was Julia, Sophia's high school classmate, bestie, and Frank's younger sister. "Of course, I don't mind." I smiled, my voice calm and gentle. Being understanding and considerate was my brand. In Sophia's circle, I was known as the steady, perfect husband. Sophia froze when she saw me, then immediately pushed Frank away. "What are you doing here?" I sat down on her other side and pointed at Julia. "She said you were drunk and asked me to come get you." Sophia whipped her head around to look at Julia, her face darkening. Julia awkwardly scratched the back of her head. Just as she was about to speak, Frank put his arm around Sophia's and said with a smile, "I asked Julia to call. I couldn't make it to your wedding, and I've always wanted to meet your husband." His gaze fell on me, unreadable. Sophia pulled her arm out of Frank's grip, gave him an uncertain look, then turned and hugged me, explaining in a low voice. "I ran into him at the airport when I was picking up the client. Frank is Julia's brother. We haven't seen each other in years, so since we bumped into each other, we just grabbed dinner. I was planning to come home early to be with you, but they wouldn't let me leave, insisted on coming here for a drink." I believed her explanation and extended my hand to Frank with a smile. "Frank, right? Nice to meet you." Frank studied me for a moment, then managed a weak smile. "Nice to meet you." It was getting late. I said I was tired, and Sophia put down her glass, announcing it was time to leave. Before we left, a few of the women went to the restroom arm in arm. It was too loud in the bar, so I went outside to wait. Frank followed me out. "Mark, why are you such a pushover?" Truth be told, when Julia called me, I wasn't planning on coming. If Sophia wanted to go home, she could call a rideshare. If she didn't, she could go wherever she damn well pleased. But right after Julia hung up, Frank added me on his contacts. He sent a few pictures, one of him and Sophia kissing, another of Sophia leaning on his shoulder intimately from tonight. Not a single extra word, but the meaning was clear. He was provoking me, having Julia call me with the address, then using the photos to agitate me. He wanted me to come and catch them in the act. I came, but I didn't make a scene, so he got antsy. I stood by the door, noticing the rain that had started falling at some point, then turned to look at Frank and chuckled. I'm confident. Sophia won't divorce me. She won't marry you. She's just playing with you. Playing with me? Frank looked like he'd heard the biggest joke and spent nearly half an hour telling me his and Sophia's story. He said Sophia went to Julia's house during the summer after her freshman year of high school and fell for him at first sight. He said Sophia had even gotten into a fight for him, laid her heart completely at his feet. Too bad he had a girlfriend then, and the age gap was a bit much. He said the year he got married, Sophia cried her eyes out, drank herself into a stomach hemorrhage and called him dozens of times. He said the year he got divorced, Sophia told him she'd take care of him from then on. He got divorced during my 3rd year of marriage to Sophia, which means they got together in the 3rd year of my marriage. He said he never actually went abroad after his divorce. He was in another city the whole time, living in a house Sophia bought for him. He said Sophia would visit him every month, and they'd do everything intimate. He said he knew today was my and Sophia's wedding anniversary, that he deliberately chose today to come to M-City. He made Sophia choose between me and him, and Sophia chose to be with him. This was the first time I'd heard the full story of Sophia and Frank. I listened with great interest. Frank expected to see anger on my face, but I just shrugged lazily and smiled indifferently. So what? She still won't marry you. This is a lawful society, and morality still hangs over people's heads. You're like a rat scurrying in the shadows, unable to face the light of day. A house Sophia bought for you? Ever heard of marital property? It's jointly owned, you know. If I'm happy, you can keep living there. If I'm not, I can take it back. Frank gritted his teeth in anger. Don't be so cocky. She'll marry me. I smiled even more broadly. You called me over tonight, so eager to lay all this on me. It means you've fought with Sophia about this many times, and she hasn't budged. You're disappointed in her, so you came to provoke me, right? Frank, his cover blown, flew into a rage. Seeing him so worked up, he looked like he wanted to strangle me. I patted his shoulder to save my own skin. How about this? As long as you can get Sophia to file for divorce first, I'll sign immediately. Frank was stunned for a moment and looked at me with wide eyes. Really? I thumped my chest in assurance. Cross my heart. If I'm lying, may Sophia never have kids in her life. Frank was about to say something else when Sophia and the others came out. Sophia and Julia both had bruises on their faces. They'd clearly been fighting. Julia's injuries were much worse than Sophia's. No wonder they took so long. Besties having a little sparring session in the bathroom. Huh? As Frank was leaving, he kept looking back at me, giving me a look that said, "Don't you dare lie to me." I wasn't surprised that Frank confronted me directly. He was getting desperate. Sophia is a year older than me, and Frank is 7 years older than Sophia. I'm 29 this year, so Frank is 37. He's not getting any younger. A few more years of this, and he'd really be past his prime. Sophia kept putting off making things official with him. An endless wait. His deliberately calling me here tonight behind Sophia's back was a provocation to me. But even more, it was to pressure Sophia. It was almost 4 a.m. when we got home. After putting some ointment on Sophia's bruises, I showed her the photos Frank had sent. Seeing that the cat was out of the bag, she didn't hide it anymore. Frank was someone I liked in high school. Back then, he said I was too young, that he only saw me as a little sister. Then he turned around and married some rich girl who was only 2 years older than me. He just thought I was poor. After I married you, I'd actually forgotten about those feelings. Until one day, Julia suddenly said her brother got divorced and wanted to see me. Frank said his ex-wife cheated on him. He came from an ordinary family and couldn't compete with her wealthy, influential folks. Even though she was the one at fault, he ended up losing everything in the divorce. After a few years of living like a rich kid, he was out of touch with the real world. Couldn't find a job, could barely afford rent. Sophia said she struggled with it, but Frank kept saying he regretted not choosing her back then, and with all his calls professing his love, she couldn't resist. "Mark, please forgive me this once. Okay? I swear I'll break it off with him." Frank said that when he got married, Sophia cried like a dog. I've never seen a dog cry, but right now Sophia's crumpled face did look a bit like a pug. I asked her, "You really think you can end it?" Sophia quickly raised her hand and swore, "Absolutely." Sophia said Frank came back secretly this time. He only called her when he got to the airport. She'd asked Julia to pick him up, but Frank said if she didn't go, he'd kill himself to show her. She said Frank hadn't been in a good mental state lately, acting erratically, so she tried her best to humor him. She just hadn't expected Frank to have Julia call me over. She said she didn't love Frank anymore, that it was just the satisfaction of her old crush finally caving to her. A kind of twisted. Sophia said she loves me now. Loves me? Yeah, right. Who'd believe that? My marriage to Sophia, when it came down to it, was arranged by our families after weighing the pros and cons. Before my dad retired, he and Sophia's mom worked at the same company. Sophia's mom pissed off her direct supervisor and was constantly held back. When my dad was a VP at the main office, she was just a junior manager at a branch. She normally wouldn't have been able to get close to my dad, but by chance my dad went to her branch for an inspection, and she was in charge of hosting him. Hearing they were alumni and from the same hometown, my dad looked out for her. Sophia's mom seized the opportunity to latch onto my dad for support. You could say Sophia's mom climbed her way up to branch project manager, all thanks to my dad's promotions. Even though Sophia didn't love me, because of my dad's influence and her mom's warnings, she put on a good show after we got married. She was flawless before the wedding too. Back then, to suck up to my dad, Sophia's mom even bought a house in our neighborhood. Sophia's dad would occasionally bring her over to our place to visit. But she was a bad student and always getting into trouble, so her dad felt embarrassed by her and stopped bringing her after 1 or 2 visits. So we didn't have much contact. Until the year I graduated from college, my dad told me her parents had taken a liking to me and wanted to set me up with Sophia. He asked if I was interested. Of course, I wasn't. Unlike Sophia, who was a total slacker, I was a straight A student. I went to the best magnet schools in the state for middle and high school. My SAT scores were in the top 5 in the state. I raked in scholarships, and I even got fast-tracked into grad school. Besides, although I came from a single-parent family, my dad was an executive at a big company. I was an academic achiever, a local in M-City. My maternal grandpa owned a factory and doted on me. He gave me an apartment right after my college entrance exams and 2 more when I graduated college. My situation wasn't exactly top tier, but it wasn't bad either, right? When it came to finding a partner, I definitely wanted a woman who was my equal. Sophia's family wasn't as wealthy as mine. If she had potential, that would have been okay. But that slacker even had to pay her way into the worst community college. How could I be interested in someone that dim-witted, young and arrogant? I ate those words pretty quickly. During my first year of grad school, Sophia got my number from her mom and started chasing me hard. I'd never been in a relationship. Before college, I thought dating was self-sabotage because women would distract me from my studies. To me, women were a burden. In college, I didn't have time to date. I was busy with competitions, getting certifications, working in labs, and tutoring. Time was too tight. Who had the mental energy for women? I'd never experienced love, had no experience, and Sophia was just too good at flirting. She was a pro, with all sorts of romantic tricks up her sleeve that left me dazed and confused, my heart pounding. Even though I kept telling myself to stay clear-headed, I was still hooked. Mainly, she didn't just flirt with me. She also won over my dad, treating him with the respect due to her own father. She pursued me for 3 years. Took me a year to develop feelings for her, and 2 more to fall in love. I graduated from grad school at 24 and married her right after. I only realized later that she didn't actually love me. She only went to all that trouble to chase me because her parents wanted her to marry me. Her mom wanted me because she needed my dad for her promotions. Her dad wanted me because I was an only son and because of the properties in my name. My dad agreed to the marriage for several reasons too. 1. He felt that since he'd promoted Sophia's mom, my in-laws would definitely treat me well, and I wouldn't suffer after marrying her. 2. Although Sophia was wild in school, she'd changed a lot after graduation. Her family pooled money for her to start a business. It was small, but she was ambitious and driven, or at least she seemed to be back then. 3rd, and most importantly, I had fallen in love with Sophia. I genuinely tried to make our marriage work. When I noticed Sophia growing distant after we got married, I didn't lose heart. It was a critical time for her company's development, so I thought she was just stressed and tried to be understanding. I took care of her diligently. She had a sensitive stomach, so I'd make her porridge and soup. When she had to drink at work events, I'd get up in the middle of the night to make her hangover soup. When she was sick, I'd stay up with her all night. She loved gaming, so I played with her. She loved racing, so I'd go wild with her. She broke her leg, and while taking care of her, I even helped her win a championship. Her company was struggling and on the verge of bankruptcy, so I gave up a teaching position at the university and a high-paying job at a big corporation to join her company and help her through the toughest times. I catered to all her preferences, helped her solve her company's problems. I did my absolute best to be her husband. I could actually feel that she wasn't as cold to me later on. I could sense she liked me and wanted to build a good life with me. But that feeling didn't last very long. Suddenly, one day, she started acting distant again. Thinking back now, her attitude changed right after that call from Julia. It turned out that back then, when she didn't come home for several days, she was off seeing Frank. Unfortunately, at that time, I didn't know she had someone else. It was just her dad's and some of her relatives' occasional snide remarks that made me sensitively realize the truth. She pursued me, she married me only because her mom forced her to. Only because she wanted to start a business, and if she pursued me, her mom would give her the money to open her company. But even after I figured out the harsh truth, I didn't give up back then. I even tried harder to win her heart. Turns out I was the joke. I completely gave up on Sophia in the winter of our 3rd year of marriage. We didn't rush to have kids after getting married. Sophia said she needed to get her health in order. I only found out later that she'd known long before that she was infertile, a fact she kept hidden from me. To protect her image, I even helped her cover it up. That winter, after the first snow, I was thrilled, thinking the child we'd arranged for through private channels would soon arrive. I'd invested so much effort and hope, believing a complete family was just around the corner. Sophia was on a business trip at the time, and I called her to talk about the progress with the child. The call connected, and before I could say anything, I heard a man's voice on the other end. "Sophia? Where's my underwear?" As something snapped in my head, Sophia cautiously asked if I'd heard anything. My heart skipped a beat. I said no. I'm not the type to blow up immediately when something happens. The angrier I get, the calmer I become. I like to have proof before I act, so I didn't tip her off. I had someone investigate first and found out about Frank. So, in fact, I didn't need Frank's photos. I already knew Sophia was keeping him. I even knew where the house she bought for Frank was. I knew he was Sophia's first love, knew he'd been married, and knew the truth about his divorce. The divorce wasn't because his ex-wife cheated. It was because he was reckless before marriage, had a messy private life, and completely disillusioned his ex-wife. His ex-wife was an only child from a wealthy family with a business. Naturally, she couldn't tolerate such a partner. Once I had proof of Sophia's cheating and deception, I was ready to file for divorce. But Sophia's dad came over a day before I could, causing trouble, accusing me of not being considerate enough to Sophia, of failing to get her pregnant quickly. He verbally abused me, and during a scuffle, he caused me to fall down the stairs from the 2nd floor. Although I wasn't seriously hurt physically, at that moment all my illusions about this family and this marriage completely shattered. I took it as a sign from fate. The divorce was definitely happening. But sometimes, there are people and things that make you walk a thorny path barefoot, even when you know what lies ahead. My dad collapsed. I got a call from Susan, our caretaker. Traffic was terrible. By the time I got there, my dad had already been resuscitated and was in a hospital room. Seeing him hooked up to all those tubes, my legs went weak, and I almost collapsed. Dr. Selena caught my arm just in time. "He's stable for now, don't worry." Selena's voice was gentle and soothing. I didn't catch whatever else she said because I was on the verge of a breakdown. Couldn't hear anything around me. My head was just ringing. I only remembered something Selena had said the last time my dad was in the hospital. "The spreading too fast. If he comes back to the hospital next time, you need to be prepared." Selena helped me to another bed and turned to get me some tissues. I wiped my own tears and suddenly grabbed her sleeve. "How? How much longer does he have?" Selena paused, looked back at me, and after a long silence, softly uttered a few words. 6 months at most. My dad woke up in the middle of the night. I hadn't slept. I was slumped by his bed, crying softly. I felt a hand gently stroking my head. I looked up and met my father's pained, loving gaze. He was still having a little trouble speaking. "You know?" I knew. I'd known for a long time. The year my dad retired, he was diagnosed with late-stage rectal cancer. He always told me the good news and hid the bad. He didn't plan on telling me after the diagnosis. It was Susan, afraid I'd blame her later and also sympathizing with my dad fighting the illness alone, who finally told me after much hesitation. My first reaction was disbelief. I immediately had Susan take me to the doctor. The doctor's words sent me straight to hell. It was already late stage when we found it. "Your father doesn't want chemotherapy. We respect the patient's wishes. Given his current condition, 3 years at most. Of course, it depends on subsequent treatment." Frank asked me why I didn't divorce Sophia. This was the reason. It was that day I received Susan's call. No one knew how I got through that day. My wife was cheating, my hopes for a child were dashed, and I learned my own father had terminal cancer. These two people, one who promised to grow old with me, the other who raised and protected me, would both soon be gone. That day, even though the AC was on in the hospital room, I was shivering uncontrollably, like all the blood in my body had frozen. There was a gaping, bloody hole in my heart. The doctor doing rounds saw me curled up, constantly crying out in pain, and was quite alarmed. He asked me where it hurt. I didn't know, because everything hurt. My body, my heart, my breathing, even my soul ached. I managed to pull through because I couldn't fall apart. My dad needed me. After calming down, I hid the evidence of Sophia's affair. Because my dad's greatest wish was to see me happy, and he thought I was happy married to Sophia. So even if it was a facade, I had to maintain it. Even if Sophia was tainted, I had to swallow this bitter pill. At least I couldn't get divorced before my dad passed away. If I divorced, knowing my dad's temperament, he definitely wouldn't be at ease with me living alone. He'd worry himself sick over my marriage again. There wasn't much time left. I had to make his last days happy, to let him go peacefully. But I never expected Frank to hate me so much. "When did you find out?" My dad asked, and I didn't hide it. I said Susan had told me long ago, and I also mentioned Selena. Actually, Selena wasn't Susan's relative. She was a friend of mine. When I first found out about my dad's illness, I pulled all sorts of strings, and a client helped me get in touch with Selena. After talking with Selena, I had my dad transferred to her hospital. Knowing he wanted to hide it from me, I had Susan act as the intermediary, saying Selena was a distant relative of hers and an expert in this field. "You always lie to me. Last time you were in so much pain, you still had Dr. Selena tell me it was chronic colitis. You always have Dr. Selena put on an act for you. Actually, it was Dr. Selena and I putting on an act for you." I pretended not to know, but Dr. Selena always secretly told me the truth. My father was stunned for a moment, then gently patted my hand and smiled. His smile turned into tears. No wonder, no wonder. You child, you've always been so sensible, never complaining when you're wronged. So independent and strong-willed. I'm your dad, but you always try to protect me, like a little adult. But these past 2 years, you suddenly changed. You'd cling to me, act cute, had to see me every day. If I was away on business, you'd video call me at night. You bought me so many things, wanting to give me the best of everything. So you knew all along. I pressed my face against his hand. My voice choked with emotion. Something this big, why didn't you tell me? What if Susan hadn't told me? What if I only found out at the very end? I wouldn't even have had time to say goodbye. My father's calloused hand wiped the tears from my face, his voice soft and loving. You've always been so devoted. Usually, if I just coughed, you'd act like it was a major crisis. If I told you about this, all your thoughts would be on me, and you'd be worried sick every day. Dad wanted you to have a couple more years of happiness. Besides, I didn't tell you because I was afraid you'd try to convince me to get chemo. Dad doesn't want chemo, no chemo. He lowered his hand and slowly touched his own head, his trembling voice full of determination and longing. I'm gonna see your mom soon. I bit my lip to keep from crying. Okay, no chemo. So he was missing my mom again. My dad and mom were childhood sweethearts. Both were top students, went to the same schools from elementary through college. A true two-sided love. They married right after college graduation. Even fate seemed jealous of their love. In their second year of marriage, my mom saved a little boy who ran into the middle of the road. The boy was saved, but my mom stopped breathing before the ambulance arrived. Before she died, my mom kept calling my dad's name, but tragically, she never saw him one last time. She was still clutching the tie clip she'd bought for him. My dad was devastated and almost followed her. But then he thought of me, still an infant. He said I was his reason to live. Knowing his time was short, my dad refused to stay in the hospital. I couldn't change his mind, so after consulting the doctors, I took him home. When Sophia found out about my dad's condition, she wanted to come over and help take care of him. But my dad said he only wanted to spend his final moments with me and sent her away. This was quite strange. Sophia was a smooth talker, a real suck-up like her mom, and usually very devoted to my dad. My dad had always liked her a lot. But after this hospital stay, he never mentioned her, and even when she came to visit, his attitude was cold and distant. It was strange, but I didn't ask. His peace of mind was the most important thing. While Sophia was turned away by my dad, he warmly welcomed Selena when she came. I welcomed her too, because Selena was a doctor and could offer professional advice, teach me massage techniques, and help my dad suffer a little less. Selena guided me in making nutritious meals, but unfortunately, my dad couldn't keep anything down anymore. He'd vomit whatever he ate, his cheeks were sunken, and he was skin and bones. Later on, he became incontinent and couldn't manage his daily activities. My dad had always been strong. He could grit his teeth and endure any physical pain. But the mental anguish completely destroyed him. He'd been a proud man his whole life, and now, waiting for death without dignity, he felt worse than dead. In his last month, he was awake for very short periods and would talk nonsense in his sleep. Sometimes he'd mumble my name, sometimes my mom's. The last time he was lucid, he told me a lot. He said, "Mark, if you're not happy, just get a divorce." It was only then I learned that my dad's collapse this time was because Frank had provoked him. That night at the bar, I told Frank that if Sophia initiated the divorce, I'd agree. Frank went back and told Sophia to call me and discuss the divorce. Sophia didn't call me. Instead, she chewed him out, told him to stop bothering me, and even deleted my contact info from his phone. Frank must have been utterly disappointed but still wouldn't give up. He secretly got my dad's number from Sophia's phone and called him, telling him about his relationship with Sophia and how Sophia was deceiving me, his son. He thought my dad would never tolerate his daughter-in-law cheating, let alone such deception. But my dad did tolerate it. Knowing Sophia wronged you, Dad was furious at first. But then I thought, you've always been strong-willed. You don't tolerate injustice. If you could swallow your pride and endure it, it must have been to let Dad pass peacefully. All Dad felt then was heartache for you. Dad pretended not to know to honor your devotion. Now Dad is leaving, and if I don't say it now, it'll be too late. Mark, your happiness is what matters most. Don't sacrifice yourself for Dad. After talking about Sophia, his eyes turned to Selena. His lips moved, and Selena quickly leaned in to listen. I don't know what my dad said to her. I only saw Selena nod gently. After he'd said everything he needed to, my dad said he wanted to go outside and see. Selena offered to help, but I waved her away. My father was just skin and bones, so light it felt like a gust of wind could blow him away. Selena placed a low stool in the yard. I held my father in my arms, just like he used to hold me. The only difference was, the first time my father held me, it was my birth. The first time I held him like a child, he was about to leave this world. Mark. He stared at a point in the empty air, reaching his right hand in that direction. Your mom's here to get me. Look, she's over there. I couldn't see anything, but he was smiling so happily. He hadn't been this happy in a long time. I see her, Dad. I see Mom. You weren't kidding. My eyes really are like Mom's. My father's eyes crinkled with his smile. Your mouth and nose too. You look like your mom, but your personality is like mine. He handed me the dark blue tie clip he'd been clutching. Put this on for Dad. Your mom insisted it looked good. She always knew how to make me happy. I remembered this tie clip. This was the one my mom clutched in her palm the day she died. For all these years, my dad only wore it on the anniversary of her death, otherwise keeping it safe, afraid of damaging it. Probably knowing he didn't have much time left, my father talked a lot. Mark, Dad never regretted having you. Your mom was with me for the first half of my life, and you were with me for the second. Dad's had a very happy life. It was worth it. Dad's only regret is that you and your mom never met. If your mom were still here, she would have been the best wife, the best mother. Next life, our family of 3 will be together, whole. Mark, I'm sorry. Dad didn't protect you well. If your mother were still here, Sophia wouldn't have dared to treat you like this. It's Dad's fault for not being strong enough. At the very end, he cried again. What am I going to do? Dad won't be around to see you marry a woman who truly loves and cherishes you. Mark, my child, Dad is leaving. I can't back you up anymore. From now on, you have to live for yourself. You have to be happy. I wanted him to leave peacefully, but in the end, he left with regrets. After my dad's funeral, I got really sick and was laid up in the hospital for almost 2 weeks. Sophia had been hounded by Frank lately and went on a business trip to avoid him. I didn't tell her I was sick, nor did I tell her parents. Susan came every day to bring me food. I couldn't eat a bite, and she'd just wipe her tears. Mark, if your father were still here and saw you like this, he'd be heartbroken. Yeah, my dad doted on me the most. If he saw me like this, he'd definitely cry again. So, even with no appetite, I forced myself to eat. Selena came to chat with me every day. I told her to go about her business and not worry about me, but she said she'd promised my dad she'd take good care of me. I remembered something. That day, what did my dad whisper to you? Selena looked at me with her deep, enigmatic eyes and shook her head. I can't tell you yet. The time isn't right. Never mind then, I didn't have the energy to press. Seeing me lying in bed half dead, Selena tried all sorts of things to cheer me up every day. Telling jokes, sharing funny hospital stories, having nurses my age chat with me. Nothing worked. Selena, I can't be happy. Selena, I don't have a dad anymore. Selena, I miss my dad. The one who jolted me out of bed was Frank. He somehow found out I was in the hospital and came to see me, looking resentful. Mark, I just don't get it. I always thought Sophia didn't dare divorce you because of your dad. But now your dad's gone. Why won't Sophia divorce you? Did she fall in love with you? Sophia, why wouldn't she divorce me? Because she loved me? No, she didn't love me. She just wasn't stupid. Unlike Frank, I don't pin all my hopes on a woman. Back when I found out Sophia was keeping her first love on the side, I was only down for a little while. If I couldn't have love, I'd maximize my gains. These past 2 years, I used all the company's resources to meet many major clients and make a lot of friends. I have connections in all sorts of industries. This is my wealth, an intangible asset I earned for myself. If a man doesn't strive for himself, he'll end up miserable sooner or later. While Frank was busy wooing Sophia with romance, I was growing rapidly. Of course, I also learned a few tricks from my buddies who knew how to handle their wives, and I developed my own playbook for Sophia. Sophia could not love me, but I had to have her under my thumb. Outwardly, I could shield Sophia from storms, help her solve all sorts of company problems, get her the biggest deals. I was her money-making machine. At home, I could switch into the loyal, warm-hearted guy from a romantic drama, becoming her gentle support who supposedly only had eyes for her. I performed tolerance and deep affection for her flawlessly, satisfying her need for control as much as possible. I was capable in both brains and brawn, and I had looks. I wasn't bad looking to begin with, and I hit the gym regularly, kept myself in good shape, took classes on style, cultivated good poise, and regularly took care of my appearance. Everyone in our circle envied Sophia for finding such a good husband. Completely fed her vanity. When she took me out, she looked great. I knew Sophia too well. A woman like her, no matter how infatuated she was with a man, would always love herself the most. She was also someone who prioritized her own interests. You could see that from how she insincerely pursued me for 2 years just to get money from her family to start her company. A first love like Frank, who depended on her to survive, was only suitable as a lover. The husband she needed was someone like me, who could make her look good, make money, and be her solid support. Most importantly, without me, her company would be finished. Her IQ wasn't as high as mine, her network wasn't as wide. From the very beginning, I was the one who saved the company. Especially these last 2 years, while she was off traveling the world with Frank. Living it up, she dumped the company on me. I was managing it, I was handling the business, I was securing the deals. It's no exaggeration to say that I was the main reason the company grew from a small team of a dozen to several hundred employees. Many clients only dealt with me. If I left, most of the company's projects would grind to a halt. With Sophia's slacker brain, turning things around would be a pipe dream. Bankruptcy would just be a matter of time. For some women, their first love is everything. But Sophia, trashy as she was, wasn't stupid. If she divorced, she'd go bankrupt sooner or later. If she went bankrupt, Frank would run too. She'd lose everything. So she would never divorce. Now, whether to divorce or not, the ball was in my court. I called the shots. After I got out of the hospital, Sophia happened to return from her business trip, and I told her I wanted a divorce. She couldn't believe it, grabbing my shoulders, her eyes red. "Didn't you say we wouldn't divorce?" I tossed her a few photos and retorted, "Didn't you say you broke it off with him?" Sophia saw the recent explicit photos of her and Frank and panicked. "Just this once, Mark. From that night at the bar until now, just this once. He wouldn't end it. He said it was the last time, that if I gave in, he'd take the money and leave, he wouldn't bother me anymore." I pried her hands off me. Once a cheater, always a cheater. A leopard can't change its spots. Sophia's bloodshot eyes stared deadly at the photos on the floor, her voice chilling. "Frank gave these to you?" "Yes, it was Frank. The day he came to the hospital to find me, I told him that if he gave me complete proof of Sophia's affair, I would definitely divorce her and let him have her. This time I swore on my dad's memory, and he believed me." Sophia grabbed the photos and stormed out, looking like she was about to strangle Frank. I didn't stop her. Serves him right. I did it on purpose. Who told Frank to go to my dad? It was his fault. My dad left with regrets. Selena knew I was getting a divorce and helped me find a lawyer. She asked if I still loved Sophia. Love her? No, I don't think so. It's just that when I think of her, my heart still aches a bit. After all, she was the first woman I ever loved. The one I offered my whole heart to. It hurts, yes, but I'll never go back. She trampled on my sincere feelings. She doesn't deserve them. Putting up with Sophia for so long was just so my dad could pass peacefully. Now that he's gone, it's time for me to take out the trash. Sophia refused to divorce, but the lawyer Selena found for me was good enough. We eventually got the divorce certificate, and I got every penny of the assets I was entitled to. After the divorce, Sophia's company was on shaky ground, because I had handled all the big deals and maintained client relationships. When I left, many projects stopped, and a lot of my key people left too. With the company about to collapse, Sophia wasn't worried about that. She was busy chasing after me. Selena helped me a lot when I was moving, and with how she cared for my dad before, I owed her dinner. I picked a sunny day to go out, but as luck would have it, I ran into a miserable-looking Sophia. "Mark, I admit I pursued you with ulterior motives, but I married you because I fell in love with you. I was cold to you after we got married because my dad kept telling me that your dad always outshone my mom, and if I let you outshine me too, our family would lose all face. Right then, the company was in crisis and you were more capable than me, better than me. You solved so many problems. Everyone at the company looked to you, clients preferred you, you were shining so brightly, and I started to feel insecure. I admit I'm proud. You were too outstanding, and it made me look incompetent. So I started listening to my dad, icing you out, using your love for me to keep you under control. Sophia cornered me at the restaurant entrance. Lots of people were coming and going, staring at us. I wanted to talk somewhere else, but Sophia refused, gripping my shoulders, her eyes red, demanding a promise from me. Mark, can we get back together? I looked at this disheveled, defeated woman. She felt like a stranger. Sophia, it was for you that I worked so hard for our future, that I pushed myself to become better and better. If you were like me, you would have given your all for me, instead of letting that damned insecurity make you jealous and try to bring me down. So you see, we're just not on the same wavelength. I did love you, but you don't deserve it. You don't deserve someone as good as me. Sophia wouldn't give up. Mark, just one more chance, the last one, I swear. Sophia, I cut her off. Actually, back then, when Frank said, Sophia, where's my underwear? I heard it. I stared at Sophia's shocked and pale face, speaking of the past with complete calm now. You know, I really wanted to die back then. I was completely broken, but I had to pick up the pieces and put myself back together. You said I shone too brightly, but Sophia, you only saw the surface. Underneath, I was bleeding. I looked at Frank, who was running towards us, and slowly pried Sophia's hand off. You don't deserve me, but you and Frank are quite a match. I wish you happiness. Mark. Sophia tried to grab me again, but Frank pulled her arm. Sophia, you're the one who came on to me first. You think you can just pay me off and get rid of me? Dream on. I didn't hear how they argued after that because Selena arrived. I got into her car, and we went to a different restaurant. I haven't seen Sophia since that day. I didn't have time to ask about her either. I was busy moving, busy starting my own business, spinning in circles. The next time I heard news about Sophia was half a month later. I got a call from my former father-in-law and found out Sophia had been in an accident. Turns out, on the day Selena and I were supposed to have dinner, Julia had also asked Sophia out to eat. Because Sophia had blocked Frank, he couldn't reach her, so he had Julia call her out. We didn't expect to go to the same restaurant and run into each other. After I left in Selena's car, Sophia chased after us in her car, with Julia and Frank inside. Frank was yelling and causing a scene the whole way. When the argument got most heated, Frank grabbed Sophia's steering wheel, and they ended up rear-ending a truck. Frank had unbuckled his seatbelt while grabbing the wheel and died on the spot. Sophia ended up in a vegetative state, and Julia broke a leg. Sophia's dad always thought I was deeply in love with Sophia. He didn't want to stay at the hospital himself, so he called, wanting me to take care of Sophia. I refused. He was incredulous and called me heartless. Let him curse, whatever makes him happy. Anyway, he wasn't going to be happy. His daughter was incapacitated, and he probably wouldn't be able to keep his wife around either. I really didn't have much fondness for this ex-father-in-law. His previous kindness to me was all an act. He favored Sophia's younger sister. I don't know if he was nuts, but he actually coveted the houses my grandpa bought me before the marriage. He tried to brainwash me, saying my properties were just sitting empty, so why not give one to my sister-in-law as a wedding gift? I ignored him, so he went around calling me stingy. When he couldn't get the house, he started stealing my designer watches and ties for his precious daughter. I put up with it for a while, but then he got addicted to stealing and I got mad. I didn't confront him directly. I just called the cops and reported a burglary. The police identified him through surveillance footage. That's what pissed him off. He came to our house to cause a scene right after getting out of the police station. That was the time he caused me to fall down the stairs. A friend forwarded me the news about Sophia's car accident and asked how I felt. My feeling? I did have one. Friends, always drive safely, don't argue while driving, and always wear your seatbelt. Took me 3 years to get back on my feet in M-City. My company grew rapidly, thanks to the network I'd built over the years, and also because my old key employees came to join me. We worked together seamlessly and were unstoppable. I made a lot of money, moved into a bigger house, bought all sorts of luxury goods. My dad had said he hoped I'd live for myself and be happy, so I did whatever I wanted, whatever made me comfortable. I lacked nothing, not material things and not women. Selena came to me on her own. When she asked if I wanted to start a new relationship, I thought for a bit and said I was considering it, thinking of finding a little vixen. A vixen knows how to please a man, is charming and wild, and low maintenance. If she doesn't behave, I can just find another one. Anyway, I have money. I'm just looking to be happy. That very night, she showed up at my door with a suitcase. Instead of paying for someone else, why not me? I know how to please you, and I'm free. Just give me the title of girlfriend, and I guarantee I'll take good care of you and make you comfortable. My first reaction was that Selena was messing with me. After all, she was usually so composed and serious. We'd known each other for many years, and she'd never shown any sign of being interested in me. I don't know if it was because I'd been lonely for too long, or because I'd been drinking that night, or maybe the moonlight was too beautiful, the night too intoxicating. When Selena kissed me, I didn't resist. I just remember feeling dizzy, the lights overhead seeming too bright. I ultimately decided to ditch the vixen idea and choose Selena. The reason was simple. She could cook. She'd say sweet things to make me happy. She always went along with my wishes. She'd update me on her schedule without being asked, and she consciously kept her distance from other men, giving me a complete sense of security. The only thing was, she didn't want my money. I wasn't planning on a second marriage. I told her, Selena, if you ever want to leave, you can go anytime. Selena said, if you don't want to get married, then we won't. This is fine. We're both adults, capable of taking responsibility for our own choices. I didn't force her. She agreed to it herself. She agreed so readily that I joked, Selena, was it love at first sight for you? She said it was a love that grew over time, and that it was thanks to my dad. When my dad was hospitalized, he told her a lot about me. He told her how sensible I'd been since I was a child, how brilliant I was in school, how I'd never made him worry, and that I was his greatest treasure in life. Selena said, I'm also from a single-parent family. My parents divorced when I was in middle school, and I lived with my mom. I just wasn't as lucky as you. My mom remarried a few years later, had another child, and didn't pay much attention to me. I fought tooth and nail to establish myself alone in M City. Mark, I admire your resilience. I feel for your strong will, and I deeply empathize with your experiences. We're the same kind of people. After getting together with Selena, she took me to visit my dad's grave. Didn't you want to know what your dad said to me the day he passed? I was surprised. You can tell me now? Last time I asked, you said the time wasn't right. Your dad saw long ago that I had feelings for you. He said whether you divorced or not was your decision. If you didn't divorce, I absolutely couldn't bother you. If you did divorce, only then could I pursue you. And if I succeeded, he asked me to please take very good care of you. I was surprised. But you didn't pursue me after my divorce. Selena ruffled my hair, her tone resigned. After all, we've known each other for years. I know you. Sophia hurt you too deeply. If I had chased you right after your divorce, you definitely would have blocked me. Besides, you were busy starting your business back then and had no interest in romance. If I'd been too clingy, you would have just gotten annoyed with me. She was absolutely right. She really did understand me. I sat by my dad's grave the whole afternoon. As I was about to leave, a butterfly landed on my shoulder, fluttering its wings, and stayed for a long, long time. Selena said, Mark, your dad came to see you. My eyes welled up. Dad, is that you? You miss me too, don't you?